Yes, hello guys, and welcome to another video today. Today we're going to be talking about the topic, as you can see, breaking down the eligibility rules for the FIFA agent exam. So not only the exam, but if you want to sit as an agent, then you have to have some rules and regulations that you have to follow. If not, you cannot be an agent, because being an agent means taking responsibility over people. So there are certain rules that FIFA sets so that you don't go against a lot of these rules. So they're quite strict, but also we understand because this is an industry that we deal with a lot of financial a lot of finances. So just sit tight, and then I'm going to be explaining these rules to so that at least you can go and understand a little bit about it. So okay, one person watching. So if you're watching, just try to leave a message where you're watching from, and if you're an agent or you're an upcoming or your desire is to write the exam. Okay, I see one person watching. I think some other people are going to join, but yes, if you're watching, just leave a message on the chat. The chat is quite open, where you're watching from, and then so that we know where you're watching from, whether you're an upcoming agent or you want to become an agent. Yes, just what you're doing and what interests you. Okay. Good, from Canada. Okay, so are you an agent? That's nice to know. The other person. So we have two people from chat. Okay, from the chat now. So if you're just watching, just leave a message, please. Are you an agent or upcoming agent, and where are you watching from? Then we go from there. But just as I said, we'll be talking about the eligibility rules for becoming an agent and what you know and what you don't need to know. And even if you become an agent, then you have to live by these rules, just like every other agent does. To become an agent, register for the exam. Okay, good. So someone registered for the exam and then trying to write the exam. That's great. From Canada. That's from Canada. Okay. And we have two people. So if you're just watching, just leave your information, and then we can go from there. So first, just moving straight into it. So when we talk about eligibility rules, these are rules that you must protect for not to lose your license. Okay, so those are the things that we'll be talking about here. So for example, when you submit your license application and everything is okay, there are things that you must follow. So let's take, for example, no false misleading information. That's quite, I think most of you who have already submitted have registered for the exam, you quite know that. So you cannot provide false information about about yourself, not providing misleading information, not left, don't leave any information like that. And this includes your identity, your background, your employment history, your financial status, any past disciplinary issues. Important, of course, if FIFA finds out about this, that's why it's good to be honest with this. If FIFA finds out about this, they might try to spot you. If anything ever comes up, then your license might be revoked. So these are the things that when applying, you need to be strict. That's why I always tell people protect your license, because most part of these things, if you don't follow this thing and then I think you have seen a case with how players are banned. Let's take, for example, the situation of Paul Pogba, who is a famous player who got banned for taking illegal substances unknowingly. So FIFA doesn't mess around with the rules. For you get banned, even if it means serving 2 years or without a license. And you can imagine someone who has been working, and if you have kids, serving 2 years without a license, I mean, then without your license, how can you work? So those are things that I just try to advise people, that you try to stick with with the rules and follow it, because it's quite easy if you follow the rules, and so that you don't lose your license. So, and then the next thing we look at is clean criminal record. So clean criminal record. So what do we mean by this? You must have not been convicted. Those are the things. Organized crimes, drug trafficking, corruption, bribery, money laundering, tax evasion, fraud from anything, match manipulation. So you don't manipulate match. So you understand what I mean? Misappropriation of funds, breach of forgery, forgery, legal malpractices, sexual abuse, violent conduct, harassment, exploitation, voluntary abuse. So all these things, if FIFA finds out about any of these informations that are about you, then your license can be revoked. So this is about, because the reason of this is because you are handling human beings, because the people you are going to handle when you have your license are human beings. Of course, they are players, but they are human beings. So they want to make sure that anybody who is in charge of another person, because when you're an agent, you become in charge of people. You become like an authority over people. You take decisions for people. So the reason why FIFA looks into these things is also that they try to make sure that anybody who has a license has a clean record. So that when you're handling, for example, you'll be dealing with minors, parents will leave their kids to you to handle them. For example, you have to look after career of footballers, but most essentially, you have to look after the careers of minors. So they try to make sure that you are looking after that career. You're also very sound. That's you organize your discipline, and also you have no criminal records. All these things are why that's why FIFA gives a little bit of strict rules concerning the license. Okay, then we go to suspension. The next one is suspension. You must have never had any major suspension for more than 2 years. For more than 2 years, so sport governing body suspension or sport governing body. No, you cannot have that. A regulatory authority, you cannot have that. So, for example, let's take for example, if you have had a serious ethical misconduct, you cannot be accepted to sit. You cannot be accepted to sit the exam, or if FIFA finds out about that, your license can be revoked. So these are the things. I'll just give an example. It's like almost like also we're going. I think we're going to come into that when we're looking other parts. It's almost like when most football players when they play football, then at one point in time they do this betting with their friends. They do betting for games with their friends. When you become or want to become an agent, there's no more anything like those kind of things. So because I give an example, like there's this player in the Premier League. I think he has actually moved now to South America. Is it Lucas Paqueta that he kept having the case of the betting scandal over his head and all those things? So finally, he moved, of course, to South America. But I'm just saying that when you those things, if FIFA finds you, the FIFA will charge you no matter what level you're playing. Okay, we have another new person joined the live stream. So why you hello there, and where are you from? Where are you watching from? And are you trying to become an agent, or are you already an agent? Leave your information if you're an agent or not an agent, so that we know where you're watching from. Okay, but let's continue with where we stopped from the chat. The next thing is, you cannot work for a football authority. I think most of you people, if you have been reading a little bit the agent materials already, you have an idea of what this is coming from, where this is coming from. Okay, so as you're an agent, or before you pass the agent exam, or whatsoever way it may be, you cannot work for a football club. Let me just put it locally there before I go into details. The reason FIFA say this is because they are trying to stop any personal interest. So imagine you're an agent and then representing a player for, let's say, playing for a football club, and then you're working for that club. So normally you try to favor that player. So what FIFA does is they try to stop all these kind of interests. So if you are an agent, you cannot work for a club. Let's put it that way. So actually, I'll give you a case. So I used to play football because I live in Finland. I used to play football. So the moment I registered for the exam, I was sent an email by the FA of where I live. That's the Finnish FA. That okay, if I have to continue playing football, because by that time I had an ACL injury. Say, but if I have to continue playing football, then I cannot register as an agent. So with that, I went back and I looked at myself and said, okay, I need this agent license to continue. Do I feel I can still keep playing now that I'm having an AC, and now that I'm suffering with injuries and whatsoever? So I made a decision not to continue, but to pursue my license as an agent because I felt that was the next part in my journey. And also, apart from that, I also felt there was also clubs, let me say clubs trying to tell me that because I have a background in sport management, can I come and work for them? I also knew that me being an agent, I will not be able to work with club, whether it's like a and fitness trainer, whether it's like a trainer, whatsoever. So you being an agent, you also have to have an idea about this that if you have to work for a club, you have to suspend your license temporarily, whatsoever, but you cannot have two. So these are just a little bit of tips I'm trying to give you so that you should be aware of what you're going to that if you're an agent, you cannot be a sporting director of a club. If you're an agent, you cannot work for a club. You cannot have anything to do with a club. So that's just the idea so that you avoid any like you any personal interest. So just to throw more light on it, look some. So I was saying you cannot work for you cannot work for football authorities as an employee of FIFA. You must not be an employee of FIFA, an employee of a confederation. Confederation is like UEFA, CAF, CONMEBOL, an employee of a national association. No, a league official or a club employee. You cannot work for this when you're an agent. So the reason why is already, as I explained to you people, because of personal interest. And then the next thing I'll also be looking, I hope you people understand. I hope people understand. And then the next thing I'll be looking at is also you cannot own a club or have interest in one. So this is critical. So if you're an agent, you cannot own a club or you cannot have interest in one. I repeat. So one, you cannot own shares in a football club because you're going to have interest in that because there's going to be personal interest in that as an agent. You cannot own an academy. You cannot own part of a league. You cannot hold interest in any single entity or a league. You cannot own any company that has to do with a football, like a football club, or if you're an agent. Why? Because as an agent, you represent players, and if you represent players and then you're let's owning shares at the club, you always try to push, let me say, towards helping the person. I mean, the player you are more interested in. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but anyways, what I'm just trying to say is you cannot own shares and be an agent of a club because then you are always going to try to look at personal gains again. So that's why FIFA also say if you're an agent, you cannot uh, own shares for a club. Okay, so those are the things that you need to be already looking at. So it seems as if there are a lot of rules and regulations, but I think rules concerning this. But I think it's just like if you follow the basics rules. For example, I'll take myself when I stopped playing, I had already made up my mind I wanted to become agent. I knew that because I had chances to work for clubs where I live, but I already had an idea that no, I don't want to work for a club. I want to be an independent regulator. I want to become an agent because for me, my after playing football, I had been, let's say, training with teammates and whatsoever. So I wanted something that I can have my time to myself, that I can travel, watch games, scout players, bring them to my agency, whatsoever, do those things, but not also my time should not be attached with another person's time. So whereas if I'm like a person, if I'm a coach for a club, which I'm capable of doing, if I'm a coach for a club, my time is still attached to people. So Those are the things that I was looking. I still coach, but now it's for my agency. It's like, and this is legal. This is like, for example, because I have an agency, what I try to do is any player I see, which I try to give some training, personal training, private training to the person, so that when the person is ready, I can take him for trials to where I have connections like Norway, Denmark, all those kind of places. But what I cannot do is, which is illegal, is go and join a club and start coaching with them. So that I cannot do. But individual coaching you can do to coach. Let's say if you have someone in your agency, you can try to assist him if you have that capability. So I'm just trying to put a little bit of details here so that you understand what coaching we're talking about here. So let's look at the next one. No acting as an agent without license in the last 24 months. So you cannot just act without having the license. I think in the industry people do this. People still act like this. But the thing with this situation is that once FIFA gets you, then you're done. But you cannot act as an agent. So that's the thing. So let's see. What we are talking. So you must. What was it? You cannot act as an agent without license. So in the last 24 months before applying, you must not have provided agent services without a license. That means negotiating contracts, negotiating transfers, representing players in deals without being a licensed agent. Without being a licensed agent. So you cannot do this without having a license. People do this, but the thing is, once they are caught, they can never become an agent and never in your life because your name goes into the FIFA book. So how can you be caught in this situation? So let's take, for example, uh, you went to a club, and then let's say took a player to the club and showed the player, and then when the player signed, then the club said, "Well, we would like to work with you again." And then that player come and have an issue. Then that player have an issue. Now the issue goes to FIFA, and FIFA asks, "But who brought this deal to you?" Then your name comes up like, it was this player. Then FIFA goes to look. You're not a licensed agent, but now your name stays in the database, and your ID stays in the database. That whenever this person registers the exam, his name will be flagged because he has been providing services without being a licensed agent. So this is how it goes. There are many other methods. I'm just trying to give you one example so that you can have an idea of how this goes. Yeah. As I said again, if you are new, if you just came to the chat, just leave your name and where you're watching from, and then I know where you're watching from. Okay. And if you are a licensed agent, so if you're new to the chat, if you're a licensed agent, leave your name, or if you're not a licensed agent, just leave your name and tell me where you're watching from, what's the aim and everything like that, so that at least I know where you're from. Okay, but let's continue with the next. The next one is bankruptcy rules in the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, you must not have, before you register, you must not have declared personal bankruptcy. So you see this with a lot of businesses, that people have businesses and declare bankruptcy. So if you declare bankruptcy when you're having a business, it's going to affect you when you're trying to apply for as an agent. So you must not declare bankrupt. So you must not have also been majority shareholder of a bankruptcy company. So you cannot be a shareholder in a company who went bankruptcy. So you're not eligible to apply as an agent. You must not have been director or key officer in a company that entered into liquidation. Why? So why all this strictness? Because agents manage large financial flows. So financial instability could cause risk of players. So this is one of the things that FIFA also restricts and try to put a stamp on. So most of the time, this is why the rule is what it is. So the key note in this is you must not have gone into bankruptcy if you are to apply as an agent. If not, you'll be flagged as disqualified. So I hope that is clear, just to make it short so that you understand. Okay, number 8, no connection to sports betting in the last 12 months. So this is what we spoke. I spoke about, I touched a little bit on this when we speak of gambling, sport betting, like when players, this is common with young football players when they play their local leagues, they go and gamble and play and try to win money to survive, because most countries football players are not really paid like probably when they get into the European countries or Saudi Arabia or maybe some other countries that I won't mention here. You know what I'm trying to say. But the idea here is you cannot be involved in sport betting. That sport betting is like uh, playing, doing sports betting, like gambling on these websites, gambling activities, betting on games, using Bet365, using all those other platforms that you know. So you cannot do this if not as an agent. As an agent, FIFA does not accept this. So if FIFA finds out about this, your license, even if you pass the exam, your license will be revoked. But most especially, even if you registered when you have been doing the betting for before the last 12 months, FIFA finds out about that at one point in time, then your license or your application will be cancelled. Or even if you're a licensed agent, it will be revoked. Your license will be revoked. So those were most of the rules. I think I have touched a little bit most of it, and I think you people have an idea about this. If you didn't watch this, or if you didn't understand, you can still go back and watch what I was saying, so that at least you learn a little bit of this, so that it helps you. Okay, these were just things that I wanted to leave out so that you understand. And anyways, if you have any question, leave it in the comment section, and then we will see how we can continue tomorrow. Okay. Next tomorrow we will not be talking about rules and regulation. I just had to do this video so that I can help most of you guys know a little bit about the rules, because most people always ask what are the eligibility requirements for this. But now at least we have this on, so I won't be touching on this anymore. So anyone who needs this can come back and watch the video, and that's it. So tomorrow we continue with some questions of the RSTP FIFA agent rules and regulation. Then we go from there. Okay, that's it for this video today, and I hope you liked it. And if anything, you can always ask a question, and then see you tomorrow for the next video. Take care and bye for now. Cheers.